I'm Seb from Profil Prog. Today I'm glad to welcome you, Erik Laan from Reaktor, a great Dutch-based band. First of all, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Seb. Good to meet you. I read the review that you wrote, of course. Very nice to read. Thank you so much for the kind words.
Thank you. First question, how did you form the band? Did you intend to build a family business?
No, not a business. Well, we are...
I'm joking.
There is Arjan. He is my son. He's joining us.
So, hey there.
Hi, how are you doing?
Arjan is the drummer and one of the composers as well, and he is also one of the writers of the lyrics. No, it's not a family business. It's we all love music, and somehow I indoctrinated them well enough, both my sons, to like prog music. So there's hope for new generations, although they have their own, of course, their own new, more modern bands that they like than I am. I'm more of the old school.
Sorry, I can't see you. Can you turn your head this way? Better like this, because yes, that's correct. Thank you. Sorry, I can't see your face anyway. So keep on. Sorry to have interrupted you.
We had already since they were young. Sometimes we were sort of dreaming about making an album together. I built my studio and I made it even better. I renovated it just before the pandemic. So we had all the time and the space to be here together as a family. And we had then the perfect opportunity to write a new album. There it is. Homesick was the result.
And you have your own bands, like Skylicker for you, and Silhouette on your own. What are the main differences, I would say, and what is the goal in terms of musical identity?
Oh, that's a good question. I think on the Skylake side we like to get very, very out of the box and do. My brother, for instance, writes very strange rhythmic pieces when, and Suzanne has her harp, so it's a weird mix of instruments, and that makes for a very distinct sound, I hope, and maybe stranger, but it's still easy to listen to music. Whereas Homesick, I suppose, came for more of a traditional setup with just keys, guitar, and drums.
And bass.
And bass. We just try to... I think we all share a love for melodies that serve the music and don't no crazy guitar solos, but solos that really fulfill the purpose of emotionally speaking. So to me, Homesick is very I would say heavy in the emotional sense, less so than we were also quite creative. We did some some cool sequencers and weird
percussions and
we
wanted the first things that we said is that we wanted to make groovy music, and we even talked about progressive funk, prunk.
Yes, I read it. What is prunk?
Well, it's nothing, but that's what we discussed. It's more of a joke, actually. We wanted to make prog music that is groovy and a little bit funky. Every now and then you can hear it in the album that there are some funky guitars, and in many cases we try to find a groove, a sort of a nice rhythm to build upon. And of course there are other groovy prog bands. One of them is, I think, your compatriots from Saga. They're pretty groovy. I think Rush also is pretty groovy. But there are other bands, but not so much anymore. So this is why we thought let's do something which we think is rhythmically interesting and at the same time prog music. So that's where we made this joke about making prog. It sounds terrible, so we dropped the name pretty soon afterwards.
You just play with music.
Of course, yes. Of course, yeah.
That's the dream.
And how was the recording process?
How was the recording process? I think
it was a variety of different processes depending on the song. Because my Erik here started on the first few songs. Those grew more from the chords were there and most of the structure, and then we started filling in the song with the contributions of Bart and I, and then Bart also brought forward some songs that, yeah, how did those come about?
Many times Bart and Arjan sat together with already a basic idea there, and they so the structures and the chords were already there. We sent that to each other sometimes by email or by WeTransfer. But in the studio, then we started to arrange stuff, and I think especially when Bart and Arjan sat together at the rhythmic section, it was amazing to witness that, how they did it. Sometimes I really couldn't follow what they did. Well, they're brothers, so they understand each other pretty well, and their minds go a bit quicker than mine, apparently. So
sorry.
And then, but sometimes also we sat together and we tried to do some original stuff. And I had a salt can with salt and rice and sugar, I don't know, and we started to clap and jump up and down the floor and gave a nice effect. And we did all kinds of let's say caveman grunts. We even it's there on the album. We even at one point had a growl from the dog, which we used. So we had a lot of sounds there, and this was this ended up in what's the song called?
Stop Yelling.
Stop Yelling. You can hear it, and it's pretty groovy, and we had so much fun doing that.
One question, yes. Stop Yelling. This is my favorite track.
Oh, that's interesting. That's one of my favorites as well. It was really, well, I think we had a lot of fun in many of the songs to do it, but this was probably the most fun song to do. Yeah.
I felt like it went pretty organic too. Like we just started doing crap and then all fell into place.
And Mark Opdenberg, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. Mark Opdenberg joined the band. What does he bring to the band, in your opinion?
I think Mark, we knew him because he was in Silhouette at one point when our own bass player had a very tragic private circumstance, so he couldn't join us for a couple of gigs, and then he joined a Silhouette, and we became friends. And he's not a real prog bass player. Although he likes to play prog, his main styles are soul and funk and even R&B every now and then. Snarky Puppy, well, this sort of, that kind of style is sort of a little bit funky, but also Lettuce. I hadn't heard about Lettuce. I don't know if you know it, but it's very funky. And other bands, and we knew that, and we, as we just said, we wanted Chain Reactor to be prog. I mean, the groove. Yes. And he was the right bass player because, well, Bart can play a pretty well bass as well, but he hasn't got the groove as Mark has it. So this is why we ended up with him as well.
Yeah, and to add on to that, when we were in the studio, we often try to adapt the drums and the bass to each other. So we specifically thought about, okay, what would be we sat in the studio and we played the drum parts and the bass parts so they would fit perfectly onto each other, which I had never done before, which sounds strange, but often it's okay, the bass player then does this track, and then everybody does everything independently. But with Mark there was actually a whole another dimension added onto the music, which was that was very a big success, I think.
And the feedbacks and reviews are great. What do you think?
Wow, yes, this was we couldn't have imagined how positive it would be. And yesterday we had some news. I don't know if you know anything about Spotify, but we were also we re-released one of the songs, which is "Lonely City," a song very dear to me because I sometimes am a bit worried about how many people are lonely. At least in the Netherlands, I'm not sure if it's the same in Quebec or in Canada, but in Northern America, here it is. We have a lot of people, and this is something which goes together, which is related to urban modern life. So this is sort of, in lyrically speaking, perhaps the centerpiece of the song. And we re-released it, but in a shorter version, in a single. And we proposed to Spotify to put it in the editorial playlist of the prog rock playlist, and it was accepted. And we heard this yesterday. This is for us as a debut, for a debut album. This is pretty big deal. So we now see also the plays going up, and of course we had an 8.6 in Profile prog, which we are very thankful for. And also the main prog magazine in the world, I think, is Prog, the British magazine. They gave us a very positive review as well, and we're still very thankful for all of that, and many fans that also support us, and we're so happy.
Yeah, and we get a lot of very kind comments by people through Facebook who listen to the album and are sharing their enjoyment, and that's so cool. Like that people listen to your stuff.
That's why you make music, probably.
Of course, yeah.
And what would be your favorite tracks on this album if you had to choose one?
For me, it would be Homesick.
Homesick.
Yeah. Homesick, yeah. Homesick. Stop Yelling is now also a favorite, as we just said, and also the other one, which the opening track, The Day That Never Came. But Homesick stands in the top of my list. What about you?
I was thinking Homesick as well, and then close second, I think Lonely City, which I've heard so many freaking times now that it's it's hard to say, but I think it still works. Yeah, I think it went very organically, the song, and it works. I think it works really well. Yeah,
it goes with the flow.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The same is true. I think with Homesick. I think it's one of the longest track on the album, and not the longest, but one of the longest tracks. And we wrote it pretty quickly. I think Homesick was there pretty quickly, and sometimes, when it goes so smoothly and organically, then that's a good sign mostly of songs. Not always, but sometimes it's a very good sign.
And one difficult question. Imagine you had to write a new album just now and record it. How would it be different from Homesick, and why? Think about it.
Let's think about that. Oh, yeah?
I think it's a pretty difficult question. I was thinking about that because will we just continue to write this kind of stuff, or do we want to make it something different? And I think what the strength of this album was in that we didn't. I don't think we ever thought, okay, we got to make a very out of the blue album. We just wanted to have fun and did what we were familiar with in a way. Mm-hmm. So I think it would be a nice challenge to make it. To go somewhere else, but of course the real question is, will it be any good?
I think I would like to go ahead a bit with the style that we developed in Stop Yelling, which is rhythmically complex. Some reviewers found it too complex. Well, okay, I think maybe you should try just once or twice again. But I also because we had so much fun in writing it, and so I think I think we would like to be a bit more experimental, right?
Yeah, I like
to
that.
experiment with more rhythms and with maybe new sounds. I bought this new sequential Profit 3 Pro 3 synthesizer, which gives these really sometimes distorted synthesizer sounds and sequences. It's also there very prominently in Stop Yelling, and I like that to experiment a bit more with that as well. But we should have fun. That's the most important part.
Of course. And this album talks about loneliness in this modern world. Can you tell us more about it? What was the lyrical idea in this album?
Yeah, I think I already mentioned Lonely City. I was once traveling on my own in North America, in New York, and for my work I have to travel every now and then, and somehow especially it struck me that it's such a strange human condition that you can stand amidst the crowds on Times Square or anywhere else where it's crowded, and you can feel so terribly lonely. And of course I have many friends and family and so on, so I'm not a lonely person, but this struck me, and also there was a debate in our country going on the same issue. There are researches, investigation, how do you say that, inquiries into how many people are lonely, and many people are, and not only the elderly people. There was once a tweet which got viral and got to the newspaper headings in the Netherlands about a girl who was in her 20s, and she cried out, "Where do I find a social life? I only see once a week my therapist, and that's all." And then this was sort of a cry of loneliness, and this is why this really strikes me, and this is why I wrote Lonely City. And you see it a bit also in the artwork, the lonely person staring out to the skyline of a major city while he is looking out over the desert, which I think was done pretty well by when I explained this idea to Aldo Adema, who is a good friend of us. He's an artist. He's a very good guitarist, by the way. And we are also doing things together in Tumbletown, which is another project. But he also did the artwork, and we also are very happy about it because you see immediately what the album is about.
And he did a great job.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you agree, right?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you for your time. I used to end my interviews with short questions. Are you ready?
Okay.
You, Erik, and your son, of course. Now, your favorite band ever?
Genesis.
Oh, can it be an artist as well?
No, a band.
A band.
A band.
Carnival, I think.
The best artist ever?
Freddie Mercury.
Pliny.
And now, the song you wish you had written? Sorry?
First or fifth?
Good choice.
Dead Man by Carnival.
Of course. So now this is the end. Thank you for your time. Thank you for answering us. And I was very glad to interview you. So I wish you the best for your future and your next album. Have a good afternoon and see you soon.
See you
Thank
soon.
you. It was a pleasure.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.